Man, these verses we've been covering lately, as parents, we can all relate to that, can't we? As Jason said last week and me the week before, we've had these situations in our life where raising children is very challenging. And again, imagine Mary and Joseph raising God himself and the challenges they encounter. And this week, as we get into Luke chapter 2:48, it says, his parents didn't know what to think. Son, his mother said to him, why have you done this to us? Your father and I have been frantic, searching for you everywhere. And isn't that exactly what happens, man, when your kids aren't behaving the way you expect them to? You get kind of torqued. And then when you find them, it's like, hey, man, you put me through a lot of anguish. You know, what's going on here? Why'd you do that? But the difference here is that Mary and Joseph are dealing with Jesus. And Jesus, unfortunately and fortunately, I guess, for them and us, is able to continue teaching in his response. I just love what he says here on many levels. He says in verse 49, but why did you need to search, he asked. Don't you know that I must be in my Father's house? But they didn't understand what he meant. And that response from Jesus, I started just stewing on that and letting it speak to me and praying about it. And it took me back to a couple weeks ago when I told you about that situation where we lost my daughter for a little bit. And I mean, this is a continuation of their story of Mary and Joseph losing Jesus. And when they found him, he says, but why did you need to search? And if you remember that week, we talked about the fact that often we don't go looking for God until things go wrong. And I kind of want to revisit that today and maybe expand on it a little bit. Jesus says, why did you need to search? Did you not know I must be in my Father's house? And that's something that really spoke to me in these verses, that Jesus, always being sinless and being God, is always living for the glory of God. So of course, Jesus is always going to act like God. He's always going to make the right choice, and he should be very predictable, I would say, to us to some extent. We should know that even when we don't feel him there, he is there. He's doing what God does. He's consistent. He keeps his promises, and he always does what he's supposed to do. The world wouldn't function if God didn't act like God all the time. But yet, as people, just like Mary and Joseph, we're like, why have you done this to us? Why are you not here? I've been frantic. I've been searching. Think about your life every day. There's those situations in life where we're going nuts trying to cope with life. And as humans, we think God is distant from us. God is gone somewhere. He's left. We're not making him happy. We need to do something so God returns his fortune, his favor to our life. But just like Jesus said, he's there. He's doing what he's supposed to do. Often the shortcoming is in us and the way that we look and feel about the situation. God's there doing what's important for God's glory in every situation. But often we're looking for our own glory, our own fulfillment in our daily lives. And we think, man, God, you're lost. You're not there. But why do we think we need to search? God is here. He's right here, right now. He's with you. He's with me in whatever situation we're going through. We know that God is behind the scenes doing exactly what God does, what God is supposed to do, because that is God's nature. We know that as Christ followers, but we often forget it in everyday life. We think God has abandoned us. And I just thought that the way Jesus phrased that, why did you need to search? In other words, you should have known where I was and what I was doing. And that's so godlike. we should know that God is doing what God does each and every day, each and every second, even when we think He's not. Because God doesn't drop the ball. Very often we do. And I thought it was quite interesting too but they didn't understand what He meant. How often does God doing stuff in our lives and making things happen that, man, we just can't figure it out? Maybe down the road, we're fortunate enough that God reveals the answer to us in some way. But very often, we just don't understand Him. And you know what? That's okay. Because again, He's God. We're not. We just have to trust that God is doing exactly what God is supposed to do. Because He never lets us down. I hope that encouraged you this week as we start this new year. And we just look forward to catching you next time on Wednesday Wisdom.